Hello, my name is David Zussman. I'd like to take the next 10 minutes or so to talk to you about what I think is a very exciting and I believe relatively safe area to be investing some of your capital in. I know that there's no yield anymore on bank deposits, money market funds, CDs. They're going to yield eighth of a point, quarter point, and that's going to be there for several years. The bond market is dropped a long way too. Even a 10-year government bond is around 2.25% right now and may go lower. So what they're trying to do is drive money out of bank accounts and savings accounts and CDs and get it into investments. Investments to go into stock market to drive up the stock market so we all feel richer and go spend, and investments into real estate and other places by taking the yields down to almost nothing. Therefore, you have to look at some alternative investments that can give you a chance at a really good return. And I mean returns 20, 30, 40% on your money within a short period of time, no longer than a year. I think that's what you can do in the foreclosure housing market at this time. You probably hear in the headlines that there are millions and millions of foreclosed houses. I think it's around 12 million approximately. But I don't think we're over with this depression I believe we're in the real estate market. And I believe it's going to go on a few more years. The last time we saw prices this weak, this low, was in the Great Depression of the 1930s. Now that's about 70, 80 years ago. And that depression went on in real estate and in the economy and in employment for about 12, 13 years. Now I don't know how long it's going to go on this time, although it doesn't look good at this time, but it's going to be some number of years before we get a chance to come out of this, where unemployment's going to go back down to the old 5 and 6% level, and we see real estate prices at least working back towards the 2006, 2007 highs. I don't know when we're ever going to get there, maybe a long time, but in the interim period of time, I think we're getting in the bottoming area. I don't think we've seen the bottom, but the big fall, I believe, is out of the way, and now we will have maybe a drifting, 2-3% a year drifting, or some flattening out as the economy ever starts to recover. Now, the reason I like the real estate here is because it has been beat up so far. If you took a look at the stock market back in 2006 and 7, we were up around 13, almost 14,000 on the Dow Jones 30. We fell down to 6,500 before that market found a bottom in late 2008, 2009. That fell in half. Well, real estate is about the same position as it is right now to what it was in 2006, 7, and 8, about half. And in some areas of the country, it's lower than half. I know there's specific coastal line, ocean view houses are maybe only down 30-35%, but many of us are experiencing at least a 50% drop in real estate prices. Now, along with that drop has created a lot of social issues and a lot of problems. Millions of people have lost their home or are going to lose their home. You're breaking up families, probably lots of divorces. Those houses are vacant. They aren't producing tax revenue to the county government for city use. They aren't a good thing for the neighborhood to have vacant houses. Vandalism, drugs, and various other issues go on in these houses. And so the banks bring them to the market to sell them off at an auction for an all-cash buyer, professional money. And that's where we buy our houses at the auction. A few of the more selected cherryest houses may get listed in MLS, multiple listings. There are a few that actually get sold under short sales, but those are not the quantity that we're talking about. The mass quantity of houses available are vacant foreclosed homes, millions of them. And every city in the United States holds an auction, either monthly, weekly, or even daily, where thousands of homes are bought and sold within 2 or 3 minutes when they cry each house to a new buyer who has to pay cash. And they have to pay usually in cashier's checks, various denominations in your own personal name. So if you don't use them, you can use them at another time. But you have to pay at the minute the bidding is over with to the lender or the law firm who is representing the lender at the auction who cried the house for sale. Therefore, within a few weeks, you have the new title, and now you can either put that house up for rent, and we don't buy any houses that we can't make at least for our investment funds. A 20% minimum is all we look at in buying a rentable house, all the way up to 40 and 50% a house. And when we buy a house to sell to a retail buyer, which is almost 100% FHA, Federal Housing Authority, guaranteed loan to the lender, those homes are typically 25 to as high as 50% profits within a 4 to 8 month period, which is an average selling time to sell a house. So that's the way we look at every house we buy. Now, those kind of returns are very hard to find anywhere. In the stock market, the only few places that look like they're doing great are places like precious metals, I assume diamonds. Oil only does good if the economy's doing. If we're going into a recession, oil prices are going lower. In the long run, obviously they're going a lot higher because supply and demand. But right now, the best places are buying foreclosed houses, maybe being in some gold, and I think possibly being in diamond. Even rare paintings are all running up in value because it's a flight away from paper currency around the world. The world is awash in paper debt. Bonds by the trillions are floating out there from countries all over the world that can't pay their bills. You see what's going on in Europe if you listen to the news or read the newspaper. Many countries are heading towards a bankruptcy. Most of the European countries are not decided whether they should save some of the EU partners or let them go. Because if to save them, that means the stronger countries like Germany have to take on all the debts of the weaker countries like Spain, Portugal, Greece, Italy, and Ireland. So when you take a look at the debt out there, no wonder between the country's debt, our government's debt, businesses' debt, and personal debt, that there's no way to float all this debt around the world. And that's what depressions are all about. This debt collapses, and then we start over, and the phoenix rises from the ashes again. Now, the reason I recommend people look at the houses because we've gone through, I think, close to 100 houses in the last 18 months, and we're finding that these percentages are as routine as the sun's going to shine tomorrow, and I assume that's going to happen. We're finding that there's no let up in the supply of available houses, that you can do it in your local city, or you may have to travel because sometimes your local city isn't the best opportunity or isn't going to return the kind of profit you want. There's a lot of money coming in from various parts of the world, especially Canada. They're coming into many of our big cities and buying up houses. They have a strong currency, and they're sitting on them as rental at 10, 15, 20% a year rent, and sitting them on them maybe 5 or 10, 20 years, who knows how long, till there's a recovery. But somewhere down the road, they figure they'll sell it and make a profit on their asset, as well as the big rental income they're getting. So if you want to buy foreclosed houses, you can do those yourself, assuming you have the time and the knowledge, and you can handle all the aspects we have to handle for the investment funds, which is get comps of selling houses in the immediate community, get estimates in writing of all your repairs from reputable people. There's a lot of people out there who want the job and want your money, but they're not going to finish your job, and they may not be capable of doing a final job that you could get through with the appraisals on, and may create a problem for you. We run into these problems all the time. We run through with lots of these kind of small contractors that come and go pretty easily and don't always deliver what they sign agreements to do. However, if you have experience and you can handle all that, and you can travel, and you know retail realtors who also know the foreclosure housing market and go bid on these things for you, then you could do this for yourself. We're not doing rocket science here. You could copy what we do. Or if you happen to have capital and not the time, energy, or ability to go do all that, maybe you have a career, then what we do of managing the money to go out and invest in these kind of properties is a very smart way to look at. Now, if you'd like to look at our fourth fund that is currently on the market, we're raising capital on at $5 million. That's DistressedRealtyFund.net. DistressedRealtyFund.net. If you'll take a look at that fund, if you're interested in reading the prospectus and investing your IRA money, your trust money, your personal or corporate money, and you're an accredited investor, federal and state security laws require you to be an accredited investor and fill out a suitability document where you disclose why you're accredited, then we will receive that from you and be able to send you the prospectus to read if you would like to. So the best thing I can tell you is there is money to be made better than anything I've seen, and I've been in Wall Street more than 40 years of my life. I was a registered investment advisor for almost 20 years. I have my law degree, and I've been around the financial investment markets in many product areas, and I think this is one of the strongest investment areas I've seen. Thank you. Have a nice day, and stay tuned to our other videos. Bye-bye.